In Battlefield 3, the Recon class had a bit of a disadvantage. Hey there broskies, it's Lupus, and today I want to talk to you guys about Battlefield 4 and what changes have been made to the Recon class in order to make it perform better on the battlefield. This is going to be a 4-part series that I do called Battlefield Elements, where I'm going to review each class in Battlefield 4 and what changes have been made from Battlefield 3, some of them more significant than others. If you would like to vote on what class you would like to see me review next, then leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I will upload my next one depending on what you guys would like to see. So first off, I hope you guys did like that little clip at the beginning where I got that collateral with the SV98 and Bad Company 2. I decided Bad Company 2 would be a good backdrop gameplay for the Recon class because in Bad Company 2 the Recon class was very infamous. It had a lot of really good equipment, and in Battlefield 3 they took a lot of the advantages away, and in Battlefield 4 they're trying to perfect that and bring some of that stuff back, and I felt like that Battlefield Bad Company 2 would be a good backdrop. So first off, we're going to talk about some of the equipment that is being incorporated in Battlefield 4 and added to the Recon class and what we can expect to see that do. The Recon class has not lost anything that it had in Battlefield 3, but rather they decided to add a bunch more equipment as well as take some of the stuff from Battlefield 3, improve it in a way so that it is more useful, and then put it in Battlefield 4. The first piece of equipment we have is the PLD, which is going to perform very similar to a trophy system, where basically you throw a grenade or a flashbang or incendiary grenade towards the PLD, and it will shoot down the projectile, and it will save you in a way. And the next piece of equipment is the SOFLAM, and the change that they made to this equipment is that it will no longer be something you put down, but rather it will be a handheld SOFLAM, so you won't have to worry about getting your dog tags taken while trying to remote control the SOFLAM, and you also won't have to worry about it getting destroyed as easily. The next piece of equipment is the motion sensor balls, which were from Bad Company 2, which I thought were amazing. While you were throwing them through the air, they kind of enact as a UAV going overhead and motion censoring and marking enemies as it goes, then landing on the ground and performing as a temporary tugs. The next piece of equipment is a tugs. Then we have the MAV. Then we have the radio beacon. Then we have the C4, which is going to be returning to the Recon class like it was in Bad Company 2. And in Bad Company 2, being able to have that C4 on the Recon class, it made you a little bit less retarded in a way. Because I felt like in Battlefield 3, I'd run around with my Recon class, I'd see a tank, and I'd have to run and hide, and I felt stupid for not having something that could do anything to a tank. Finally, I'm not going to have to run away from a tank when I see it while I'm using a sniper rifle. I can now run up to it and see for it, and that is definitely going to be a really good advantage, and I'm glad they brought it back, and that's just going to be awesome in general. The next piece of equipment is the M18 Claymores. They've decided to give them to the Recon class as well. So if you are a Recon class trying to set up in a building with a couple friends or something, and y'all are trying to shut down a building and keep it intact, you can set up Claymores so that the enemies cannot come up and flank you. And you guys could call it camping, but to be honest, that's what a sniper is supposed to do. And in general, I'm glad they're adding the Claymores to the Recon class. In Battlefield 4, there's going to be quite a number of attachments to choose from to put on your sniper rifle. In the sights category, you'll be able to choose from close range sights, medium range sights, and long range sights. In the close range sight category, you'll be able to use iron sights, reflex red dot sights, coyote red dot sights, cobra red dot sights, holographic sights, HD33 hollow sights, PKAS hollow sights, IRNV sights, as well as FLIR sights, which are going to be a 2x infrared sight. In the medium range category, you'll be able to use an M145 3.4x scope, a Prisma 3.4x scope, a PKA 3.4x scope, an ACOG 4x scope, a JGM4 4x scope, and a PSO1 4x scope. In the long range category, you'll be able to use a 6x scope, which is something that was not previously seen in a battlefield, which is going to be one of those scopes that you can use for close range and long range encounters, and is going to be very useful. The next sight you can use is the PKS 07 7x scope, and then you can also use the rifle scope, which is the 8x scope, the Hunter 20x scope, and the Ballistic 40x scope. And as you go through these scopes for your gun, the scopes get larger and larger on the gun, and they are just, once you get to the 40x scope, it is massive. In the rail accessory category for attachments, you can choose from canted iron sights, flashlights, tactical lights, laser sights, tri-beam laser sights, which are something new where it shoots out 3 lasers at a time and it can potentially blind your enemy and also help you get on target better if you're hip firing. You can then use your green laser sight, which is basically just something for aesthetics where you can have a green laser. You also can get the laser light combo, which is going to have a laser as well as a tactical light. And then you can also get the variable zoom, which allows you to change and adjust to the zoom that you would like for different ranges of shooting. And then you also get the range finder, which is going to allow you to figure out what distance you are shooting from. In the final category of attachments, we have the barrel attachments. First off, you'll be able to use a standard barrel, then you will be able to use a muzzle brake, a flash hider, a suppressor, an LS06 suppressor, and a PBS4 suppressor, and an R2 suppressor. And basically these suppressors have different effects but are very similar, and mainly the reason for the different suppressors is to represent the different countries that they come from. Now I want to give you guys my honest opinion on what I think these changes to the Recon class will end up doing and whether or not they will end up improving or making the class worse. And overall, I have to say, to be quite frank, the class is going to be drastically improved in Battlefield 4 than it was in Battlefield 3, with the inclusion of the equipment that we are getting, with the inclusion of the carbines that we're going to be able to use, and all of the different attachments that we'll be able to use. So in the equipment category, the big significant changes that I think are going to be class-changing equipment is the C4 as well as claymores, obviously, because that will also promote 2 different types of playing styles for snipers. You will have those guys running around with C4, trying to C4 tanks, get their little no scopes and all these crazy shots with their sniper rifles, and then you will also get those guys who are going to set up in buildings, set down claymores, and try and hold a position for a long extended period of time. And while some people frown upon that, I personally think that is the proper way to play the Recon class, and at times it seems better. But, you know, that's going to definitely promote different types of play styles. With the different attachments that you're going to be able to use, such as the different types of scopes, long-range sniping is going to finally have an advantage. You will also be able to zero in on your targets depending on what range they are at, so that you will not have to adjust as much for the drop, and your scope will automatically zero in on the distance, and then you will be able to aim directly at them and get the shot on them, and it will just make long-range sniping overall a little bit easier. Then you will also be able to use the carbines, which are going to be definitely something really awesome to have in the Recon class. If you are somebody who's just bad at using the Recon class, if you're bad at using sniper rifles, you will finally be able to use your carbines within the class so that you can level up the class and unlock some of the equipment that you might want to use, such as the C4 and the claymores and all that stuff like that. But overall, in Battlefield 4, the Recon class is going to have a big boost and beef from Battlefield 3. I don't know if it's going to be quite as good as it was in Bad Company 2, because in Bad Company 2, the way the snipers worked was a lot different. The sway, there was no sway in Bad Company 2. You didn't have to worry about that. There was not as much drop. And overall, you're going to have all these extra factors that were introduced in Battlefield 3, but that's also going to require skill to be a Recon player. It's also going to require a little bit of patience and a little bit of knowledge on what you're doing. But overall, I think the Recon class in Battlefield 4 is going to bring the Recon class to a peak that it has ever been in Battlefield history, because I just think that overall what they have done is made the Recon class something to be a force to be reckoned with. The class is finally going to be something that people are going to fear, and it's going to be a class that is going to be used a lot, and I guarantee that. If you guys did like this video, be sure to smack that like button, and if you want more great content, go ahead and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below telling me what class you think I should do a video on next. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.